Hello, BookTube. We're going to continue with our library tour of Darkest Mordor. We're going to push on relentlessly, just like Sam and Frodo. And we're going to start with the end pile, bookending the second shelf. We'll just move on from there. So what have we got here? The first one is an old Oxford World Classic mass market of The Sorrows of an Exile by Ovid. These are translations of his Tristia and his Ex Pontus from... by A.D. Melville, the collection of the complaining poems that Horace wrote, the Roman poet Horace wrote, or Ovid wrote, from exile, where he was sent because of something he said and something he saw, which was as much detail as he would get into. We don't know still what the cause of his exile was, but it had to have been something, because not only did the emperor who exiled him refuse to recall him despite getting petitions from the whole of the literary and intellectual world of Rome, but his successor refused as well, which means it has to have been something bad and something touching on the royal family. But we'll never know. So I don't know why I have a little mass market of this, and if I do, I don't know why it's not with the other classics. But let's move on. Let's see what this next one is. Okay, this is the Modern Library English language translation of Goethe's The Sorrows of Young Werther. And I think the reason that I have it is because of the cover. It's rather an endearingly incongruous cover, so I think that's why I kept it. What's next? Oh, speaking of the cover, okay, this is J.C. Burton, the always reliable J.C. Burton. This is a quarterback draw, one of her sports romances. And then we have, okay, this is Laura Santoro, The Boy, about, let's see here. I'm not even going to apologize for the end of the world noise. I live in a heavily armed, warring nation. So every video is going to have loud revving engines, screaming sirens, wailing police cars. Every single video is. That's all there is to it. I live in hell. So this is about... this is another variation on the theme of a book we already saw on the shelves of an older woman who falls in love with a younger man. Then let's see. Let's move on here. Oh, great. Okay, this is the first volume in Europa editions. I Will Have Vengeance. This is the Commissario Ricciardi, a series of mysteries set in pre-war Naples, where the main character sees dead people. Not in the trite way of American cinema. He sees people, the ghosts of people caught in the moment of their death. They don't know that he sees them. They can't communicate with him. In fact, they can't say anything other than the very last thing they were thinking or saying. And that's all. And he has no control over it. He can't call them up, and he can't disband them either. So when he's walking down the street and he sees a little boy with his entire face and chest caved in, and the little boy is saying over and over again, "Mommy, can I go out and play? Mommy, can I go out and play?" He just has to live with that sight. But it does occasionally help him in his murder investigations, in ways that his comrades on the force find spooky and impressive. So when he comes to a murder scene and the ghost of the murdered victim is standing there and he's the only one who can see her, and she's saying, "Well, you're the last person I expected to see," he knows she's not talking to him. She's talking to the murderer. And that can sometimes help. The series goes on from here, and it's wonderful. I highly recommend it. I'm glad I have the first volume. Let's see here. What's this next one? Oh, okay. This is Susanna Dunn's historical novelist I've mentioned before. I've recommended her before. She's a Tudor historical novelist. This is The Sixth Wife by Susanna Dunn, and it is the story of Catherine Parr, and it is her best book. It's amazing. The woman who is revealed in the course of this book will make you change the way you think about the historical Catherine Parr forever. There isn't a poorly fleshed out character anywhere in the book. It's incredible, just incredible. Let's see what's next here. Oh God, you again. All right, this is yet another paperback copy of Anno Dracula by Kim Newman. I highly recommend that. I was very happy. Who was this again? Titan Books. I was very happy that they gave this and all of its sequels these beautiful trade paperback reprints. I can't recommend it strongly enough. It's amazingly good. And if you love Dracula, you have to read it. Let's see here. What's this next one? Yeah. Okay, this is I think a UK trade paperback of The Mark of the Horse Lord by Rosemary Sutcliffe, a great YA historical novel about Roman Britain that I suspect I might have one in my collection for reasons other than its historical verisimilitude. Not sure. I'll have to check my records. Oh, what's next here? Oh, we saw this. You saw this on, I think, this channel and Britta's channel. This is The Housekeeper and the Professor by Yoko Ogawa, about a housekeeper and her little boy who come into a relationship with a professor who's had a traumatic brain injury. Everything before he had the injury is still at his mental fingertips, and everything after the injury he remembers in a tight loop, and then it erases itself. So on Tuesday he's not going to remember that he knew you on Monday, and on Wednesday he's not going to remember that you reminded him on Tuesday. And the book does a very good, very intelligent job of sort of mapping out how that relationship would go. So I'm glad to have it. Let's see here. What's this next one? Oh, it's tiny. Oh, okay. This is the standalone of Brokeback Mountain, Annie Proulx's short story from At Close Range, I think was the name of the collection. And of course, the publisher immediately came out with a $10 paperback when the movie caught on. And I think sent it to me. I'm pretty sure they did, even though this would have happened before I was reviewing. I think I got a copy from the publisher anyway. 2005, so two years before I returned to the fold. Let's see what's next here. Oh, more good fiction. All right, this is a pile of good fiction. This is Paul Kingsnorth's The Wake, historical novel about Herod the Wake, that in pre-modern medieval England, that would be fascinating all by itself. The story in this book is actually very smart and very touching. But the book is rendered all the more fascinating by the fact that Kingsnorth develops his own version of Old English pigeon speak that he writes in and that all the characters talk in. And there's no glossary, there are no footnotes, there's nothing like that. You just have to basically learn the language of the book as you go along, which is the kind of postmodern showiness that I would ordinarily poo-poo, except that the author has the goods. If you took that gimmick away, which is always the yardstick I use for anything, if you took that gimmick away and just wrote this book straightforwardly, it would move the hell out of you. So the fact that the author has the goods, the fact that he can write a really good, moving historical novel, disposes me, once I know that, to be perfectly happy to play his games. I'm perfectly happy to learn a new language and see the huge amount of creativity that he had to go into simply to make the book. And then what's this last one here on the pile? Not the last one in this video. We'll go a little bit longer, but... Oh, great. Okay, this is a hardcover copy of Taylor Caldwell's I, Judas, that she wrote with Jesse Stern about... That's just it's a historical novel about the Gospels from the viewpoint of Judas Iscariot. And I... against all odds, I mean, I read this kind of stuff for a living, and I've read a million novels about the New Testament told from the point of view of some Judas or other. Against all odds, I absolutely love this book. It's so sensitively done. I really liked it. I really liked it. I must have gone out and got myself a hardcover at some point. But let's see here. Let's see. Probably because I love the cover of the Mass Market. The Mass Market is a lovely thing. It was originally commissioned artwork, but it's a Mass Market, and it's old. It probably my last Mass Market fell apart, and that was it for me. Oh, great. Okay, this is Delia Falconer, The Lost Thoughts of Soldiers, a Civil War novel and a novel about the Civil War's long aftermath. Very good stuff. Very smart. Really more of a novella than a novel. Would not have thought that I kept this. I really wouldn't. When did this come out? 2006. I highly recommend it, but I wouldn't have thought it was here. Wouldn't have thought I owned a copy. What's next? Oh, great. Oh, fantastic. More good fiction. This is Francine Matthews. This is Jack, 1939, about a young Jack Kennedy in Paris and in Europe, right on the eve of World War II. Of the United States involvement in World War II, and when everything was ramping up. I loved it. I absolutely loved it. And again, like with the Judas book and a couple of other things here, I was just prepared not to, but it was so smartly done. And no saccharine sanctimony when it comes to Jack Kennedy as a young man, as a very young, good-looking man. It's no sanctimony at all. What he was at that age wasn't entirely attractive. In fact, it wasn't even 50% attractive. And this author pays smart readers the compliment of giving them that Jack Kennedy. I was very pleased. And what's next here? Okay, all right. This is from 2013. This is M. Henderson Ellis's book, Keeping Bedlam at Bay in the Prague Cafe, with an unbelievably unforgettable main character who has been let go from his position as a server at his chain coffee shop and has a gigantic manifesto prepared on that tragic oversight and a bunch of other subjects. It's a funny book, and there's a relationship that develops later in the book that's actually interestingly done. But the main attraction here is the absolutely hilarious main character. It's just relentlessly hilarious main character. What's this next one? It's blue. Oh, very nice. Oh my. Oh goodness, look at that. A Frank O'Connor reader. Isn't that lovely? Look at that cover. A nice blue trade paperback. This is a selection of writings by the great Frank O'Connor, who's unknown now, but would be known for his short stories most of all. He was a great practitioner, Irish practitioner of the short story. Just well worth your time to find. And then what's next here? Okay, this one is not fiction. This is by Richard Adams and Max Hooper. Nature Through the Seasons. A pretty little thing put out by Penguin that gives us a full color spread of one patch of ground in every season, and then identifies all the animals that would be there throughout the seasons and the changes that would take place in the foliage and whatnot. They see there's everybody flying off south. Well worth another look through. I think I'll do that. And then let's move on here. This looks like it's in 2 volumes. Oh, great. Okay, this is a reprinted Arabic classic from NYU Press. This is Leg Over Leg, which I was very happy to get this. And then I think I sent it to a freelancer when I first got it and never heard from them again, as tends to happen. So I asked NYU Press if they would send me it again, and they did. They very generously sent me again, even though the window for reviewing it is gone. I'm very happy to have it. I'm not so happy that it's buried in the shadows of Mordor, but what can you do? This next one is big and fat. What's the? Oh, okay, all right. This is a book club edition of Gordon Merrick. Those of you who, not a lot of you might know who Gordon Merrick is. This is The Lord Won't Mind and One for the Gods. That is the cover. And it's the story of, it's the story of 2 young boys who meet, and they have one of them has a flamboyant aunt, and it's pretty clear that although they're both big men on campus, they also have the hots for each other. And because it's Gordon Merrick, they're both supernaturally endowed and incredibly handsome. And the writing is just, I don't think they have met for more than 5 pages in their tennis shorts with their draped sweaters over their shoulders before we're getting classic Gordon Merrick naughty bits, and they go on for pages and pages and pages. And the reason why you might not know is Gordon Merrick was writing these things. A trailblazer, really. He really deserves a great popular biography, and his book should never be out of print. He was writing these things when you couldn't write these things. He was writing these things when they were the only things other than brown paper bag smut that you had to risk your reputation and sometimes even your legal standing to buy and read. There was no internet. There were no gay presses. There was no anything like that. Nothing like that existed. And somehow, in the midst of all that, Gordon Merrick was writing these books about 2 young men who fall in love at college, and encounter a little bit of societal resistance during the very infrequent moments when they're not banging each other like screen doors in a spring breeze. I don't know how he did it. I don't know how he got away with it. And I would love somebody to dig into all of the records and the people involved before they're all gone. But anyway, let's move on. I don't know where we're going to stop here. I guess I'll stop the video soon at 15 minutes, and we'll just do them in 15-minute intervals. So this next one looks really old. Oh, okay, yes, it is really old. This is Dorothy Vernon of Haddon Hall by Charles Major, who is Ken Follett. He's Jonathan Franzen. He was a popular best-selling author. Every bookstore clerk knew all of his titles. They had to restock them, and also to help customers who would come in and want, what's the one in which, and you had to know. And he's gone now, completely gone, never be reprinted. No one remembers him, no one reads him. This was from there's our heroine. That's Dorothy Vernon. This was from 1902. So, and I think we'll wrap it up there. I'll just I'll cantilever these things so that I know where to stop. But we'll wrap it up there. That is the next installment of the library tour of Darkest Mordor. There's plenty more to go, and I will try to remember to annotate this because I'm pretty sure that I've written about some of these things. I don't know if that interests you or not, but I'll try to remember to put the annotations down below for anything that I've mentioned before, and I'll be back soon. Thank you, BookTube.